They say the most dangerous man in any room is not the one who shouts, breaks, threatens, or tries to dominate. No, it is the one who does nothing, the one who watches, unmoved, undisturbed, unshaken, the calm one. There is a silence that does not come from weakness, but from understanding what noise really costs. There is a stillness born not from fear, but from one who has walked through storms and returned without trembling. This is the silence of the Ronin, the warrior without a master, the man who learned to command himself when the world refused to guide him. He has buried pride, he has faced heartbreak, he has seen his own rage tear more than it ever protected. So he turned inward, not to escape the world, but to master the part of himself that once destroyed him. He learned that anger is not power, control is. He learned that emotion is not weakness, attachment to it is. And he learned that the man who conquers others may win battles, but the man who conquers himself wins freedom. If your spirit recognizes this truth, remain. The path is just beginning. Before the world gave him a name, he was simply a blade looking for an enemy. Young, swift, gifted, and owned by his own fire. In the village, they whispered his talent was unmatched, but just as loud was the rumor no one dared say near him. He cannot control himself. One poorly chosen word could ignite him. One mocking glance could draw blood. He mistook reaction for strength, and silence for defeat. And so his victories felt hollow. He won duels, yet felt smaller after each one, as if every swing of the sword carved pieces from himself. In the quiet hours, when steel was sheathed and the world slept, he saw his reflection in water, rippling, distorted, unstable. He feared something no warrior wants to admit. He was at war, not with others, but with his own mind. One evening, after yet another clash sparked by nothing more than wounded pride, he walked away from the dojo with blood on his knuckles and shame burning inside his chest. The villagers did not celebrate his victory. They avoided his eyes. Children hid behind doors. Even the wind seemed to move around him, not with him. He returned to the stream where he often washed the sweat from his battles. But instead of seeing a warrior reflected back, he saw a boy who swung his sword to be seen, to be feared, to be validated. The truth struck harder than any blade could. His greatest enemy had never stood before him. It had always been the trembling flame inside, the one that flared at every slight, every doubt, every unhealed wound. And in that moment of painful clarity, the storm did not calm, but he finally noticed it. And noticing is the first step to mastery. At dawn the next day, someone was waiting for him by the stream, someone who had seen many storms. At sunrise, mist curled over the stream like a pale serpent. And standing beside the water was a man the villagers had never spoken of. Yet somehow, his presence felt older than the valley itself. His robe was simple, travel-worn. His sword remained tied shut in its sheath with a fraying red thread. A strange thing, symbolic, as though he had chosen restraint over ability. The young warrior approached, chest still heavy with last night's shame. The old man did not greet him. He did not bow. He only observed. Eyes like still water. No ripple, no judgment, no fear. This silent regard irritated the young warrior. A spark, then flame. He demanded acknowledgement, respect, recognition. But the old Ronin merely said, "If a flame must announce itself to be fire, it is still only smoke." The word struck, but pride rose faster. He reached for his sword. The blade had barely left its sheath before it stopped. Not by force, not by counterstrike, but by something far more unsettling. The young warrior's wrist had frozen mid-motion, as if his body remembered something his pride did not. Fear. The old Ronin had not moved, not an inch. His hands remained inside his sleeves, his breathing steady, slow, anchored to the earth itself. The young warrior felt his heart pounding, breath tightening, thoughts scattering. His sword trembled, not from the air, but from the chaos inside him. The old man finally spoke. "You have already lost, not to me, but to yourself." He stepped forward, gently tapping the young warrior's chest with a single finger, right over the racing heartbeat. "The moment another can provoke your spirit, your blade is no longer yours." The young warrior lowered his sword, not defeated, but exposed. And so, the student followed the man whose silence was stronger than steel. The old Ronin did not teach with swords. He did not speak of battles or glory. Instead, he led the young warrior into the mountains, where the wind carved the stones smooth and the world grew quiet enough to hear one's own heartbeat. They sat beside a frozen lake before sunrise. No instructions, no wisdom spoken, only silence, stretching long enough to become uncomfortable. The young warrior's mind rebelled first. Memories, regrets, insecurities. Thoughts swarmed like insects around flame. He wanted to move, to speak, to do something, anything. But the old Ronin remained still, hands resting calmly over the tied-shut sword with a fading red thread. The silence was not empty. It was a mirror, and the young warrior began to see the chaos inside himself reflected clearly for the first time. His breath shook. The Ronin finally said, "Notice the storm. Do not become it." Days turned into weeks. The mountains did not care about his impatience, nor his frustration, nor the fire he once believed was strength. The young warrior learned to sit with himself, and it was harder than any duel he had ever fought. At first, his mind screamed. His chest tightened. He felt the urge to break the silence just to escape it. But slowly, something shifted. He began to hear things he had never noticed before. The faint whistle of wind across pine needles, the steady rhythm of his own heartbeat, the soft crackle of snow beneath resting feet. His thoughts, once frantic, began to slow, like blades lowered after battle. He realized silence was not the absence of sound. It was the absence of reaction. The old Ronin opened his eyes only once and said, "When you learn to respond instead of react, you learn to command the world within." Yet the true test was not silence itself, but silence in the face of humiliation. The Ronin did not test him with swords. He tested him with people. They descended from the mountains into a nearby market town, a place loud, impatient, overflowing with ego. The young warrior walked beside the Ronin with quiet breath and lowered gaze. But the world remembered him. Whispers rippled like knives thrown through air. "That is the boy who fought over spilled tea. The one who tried to kill a farmer for laughing. A blade without honor." Laughter followed him like shadows at sunset. One man stepped forward, a drunk, face red with rice wine, and spat at the warrior's feet. Spat, bold, public. The young warrior's hand twitched toward the hilt, instinct lighting like a struck match. The Ronin's voice cut through it, low and unshaken. "If they can control your hands, they still own your mind." The warrior swallowed fire, but inside, the old storm twisted. The young warrior endured the insult, barely. But the market was not finished with him. A merchant accidentally bumped him, knocking rice to the dirt. A group of boys mocked his stance, imitating sword swings like children fighting shadows. A nobleman sneered loud enough for every ear. A warrior trained by rage, not discipline. A dog biting its own tail. Each provocation struck where no blade could reach. His pride, his identity, his sense of worth. His throat tightened, his jaw locked, his vision wavered. But he remembered the mountain, the silence, the heartbeat. Notice the storm. Do not become it. He inhaled, held, released. This time, he did not draw steel. He did not speak. He did not break. He simply bowed, just once, and kept walking. Behind him, the laughter continued. But something inside him did not move. Yet the world was not done testing him. The true confrontation was still approaching. Word traveled faster than wind. The young warrior had changed, and change always attracts challenge. A former rival returned to the village. Katsuro, a swordsman feared not for skill, but for cruelty. He had once mocked the young warrior's grief, once struck him when he was unguarded, once laughed as the village cheered violence. To him, dominance was proof of existence. When Katsuro heard of the young warrior's new silence, he smirked, then issued a public challenge. The villagers gathered at dusk. The river glowed red under the setting sun, like a blade just pulled from fire. The air held the metallic taste of anticipation. Katsuro stood with sword drawn, trembling with eagerness. The young warrior stepped forward with empty hands. No armor, no anger, no fear, only breath, only stillness. The crowd waited for violence, but the battle began long before any blade moved. Katsuro lunged first, fast, wild, all flame and fury. But the young warrior did not step back. He did not dodge. He simply breathed. His presence absorbed the violence like stone absorbs rain. Katsuro struck again, harder, louder, the kind of strike meant to break a man. But it was his own breath that broke, his own balance that faltered, his own hands that trembled, because his opponent was not fighting him. And that was the deepest humiliation of all. The crowd watched as Katsuro's rage consumed him, every movement heavier, every breath shorter, until his sword slipped from his grasp and clattered to the earth. The young warrior never lifted a blade. He bowed, not in victory, but in understanding. Katsuro collapsed under the weight of his own storm. Silence fell, a different silence than before, one that carried revelation rather than fear. The village understood. The calm man had won every battlefield, including the one within. Master your emotions, or they will master you.